All right, we'll go on to the next question. This is for Ruthanne. What role do you seek to play in the new board?
I think what I would like to try to do is take advantage of my background on the Blue Ribbon Commission that looked at the city's finances, as well as vice chair of the Citizen Advisory Group, where we looked at both the management practices and the finances of both the school side and the city side. I come from a background, an MBA, and a lot of experience in the working world, both with strategic planning, organizational design, financial analysis. And I think we're at a unique period here in both with the recession occurring and the underfunding that we've had in key areas in the last couple of decades, where we need those financial and management skills to come to bear on the board. That's what I'd like to see my role as.
Jeff?
Well, as with Ruthanne, I'm going to be participating in that way also. But the key issue going forward has got to be finances. We've got to get our fiscal house in order. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what your priorities are, whether you want to have a stronger schools or reinvigorated parks or whatever it is. If the money isn't there, we're not going to be able to pay for anything. So I'm going to be focused, as I have been for I think the last 7 years now, on trying to move the board to get to the point where our revenue and our expenses are in line with each other. I have a chart here which I'd like to use and show folks, this is a graphical representation, and hopefully this won't fall apart. This green line is the revenue. It's growing at a consistent rate of about 3 to 3.5% a year, and the red line is the expenses, and it's growing at about 5.3. I think the CAG pointed out. Now there's a mismatch here, and as long as this mismatch continues, you're always going to have, no matter how many times you cut back or add money in terms of an override, you're always going to have, as long as you don't change these angles, you're always going to have a mismatch in the city finances, and you're going to have to then cut back or add money the next year. Now the way of adding money is like with an override. You would move this revenue thing up, but you're not changing the angle of it. You're just sliding over to the next year when it intersects with the expenses. And likewise, if you have layoffs or something like that, you take this thing and you move it down, but it doesn't change the angle. So you close the gap on a particular year, but the following year you've still got the gap. So if we're going to be serious about changing the finance of this city, these lines have to end up being parallel. And the only way we're going to do that, because it's very hard to, in any kind of controlled way, to change the revenue line, the only way we're going to do that is to work very, very hard on the expenses. And right now, even if you lay people off, the remaining people, the remaining programs are still growing at 5.3%. So we've got to look at those, and of course 80% of all of the city's expenses are personnel related. And so that means taking a hard look at total compensation package. Compensation is not just salary, but it's also pensions, it's also benefits. We've got to look at all of those things and say, can we afford to continue to do what we've been doing? If we continue to spend the money right now, which is not sustainable, we end up having, we pay salaries to people and we pay their benefits, and then every year we lay some people off. When we lay people off, that's selling off the assets of the city. If we lay off teachers and class sizes increase, for example, the quality of the education has been reduced. If we lay off parks and recreation workers, the parks are dirtier, that asset is deteriorated. So we cannot continue to do this. We have to get this under control.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to, okay,
sure.
Sydra?
Thank you. Well, I am delighted to say that in my role, both as Chair of Public Facilities as well as Chair of the Solid Waste Commission, I have brought some very important programs forward which are cost saving. As you look around the city right now, you're seeing blue and green trash toters which are being delivered to have a single stream recycling as well as an automated trash, and there is no question that we will be saving at least $7.5 million over the next several years. This is a program which I have to say it's taken 3.5 years of an enormous amount of work to move forward, but it is the right thing to do both fiscally as well as environmentally. I also led the charge to change the street lights, which we paid for in less than 2 years, and we are saving approximately $625,000 a year, even with the reduced usage right now because of the economy. So there are many things that we can do, and I have been working very, very hard at them. The interesting piece when you talk about changing the benefits package, etc., those things have to be negotiated. You can't simply decide to implement them. And we have been working at that. We're looking at the GIC. We're looking at many things that we can do to work with our employees to try and come to a better position. The math teacher in me, however, and I have spent 36 years as an educator, just requires me to say, Jeff, I think you don't want those lines to be parallel because the distance between them would be consistent. You want them to be collinear.
You want them to be parallel plus together.
May I also,
That's not parallel.
Also add that
Yes.
we're facing 4 deficits here, and we're going to have to address all 4 of them. Certainly on the operating budget, our costs are rising at double the rate of our revenues, and we're going to have to moderate the growth in compensation or increase levels of productivity is the other way to do that. It's going to take a lot of work. We also are facing a capital budget deficit. We've been underfunding. We've already talked about this, the maintenance and repair and renewal. That's going to have to be addressed. We've got a management process deficit as well. We don't have goals for the city. We're not setting goals for individual employees on the municipal side. Do you know we do no performance appraisals in the city on the municipal side at the moment? And fourth, we do have a leadership deficit right now, and I am hoping with a new mayor and a new superintendent and with some new energy on the board that we will be addressing that as well.
Well, that's your candidate, and I'll remain neutral in that anyway.
That's right.
Well, you know, when I'm a founding member of CREWS, Citizens for Responsible Waste Management. We proposed to the Solid Waste Commission that you had, before you chose to go ahead with automated trash pickup, we had proposed that to you. But we had also proposed that you put that contract out to bid, which you didn't do. You proposed that contract to the Board of Aldermen. You then had to bring it back the next year. Again, we asked you to put it out to bid, and again, you didn't do it. So when you say you saved $7.5 million, you saved $7.5 million because that's the difference between manual labor on the trucks and the automated arm. But we don't know whether you saved as much as you could have because you didn't put it out to bid. It's not legally required to put it out to bid, but that's what you should have done.
That's your opinion, Jeff. We spent an enormous amount of time exploring what the bids were in a variety of different communities and came up with a very strong negotiation stance. The cost and savings, I'm sorry to have to correct you again, is not really in the pickup. It's in the reduction of the amount of trash which is being collected. The pilot program had a 41% reduction in trash. That's where your major savings is because of your tipping fees. It's not in the automated.
I think it's the fact that you have one person on the truck instead of 2.
That is a piece of it, but that is not where the major cost